welcome to Licensed Poetics, a podcast where aspiring writers talk about books. I'm your host, Derek.
And I'm your host, Fangling. And welcome to a new episode.
Today will be kind of a looser episode, a little bit like the last one. We've been talking about some ideas and concepts generally in fiction that we got excited about. So the last episode, if you haven't listened to it, was about books and romance, books and dating. And this one is about something very close to Fangling's heart. Something she sees herself represented in.
Why is it? Excuse me. Do not attack me like that. Yes, the lone genius archetype.
Yeah.
That's my name for it, though. I feel like there are other names for it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, one of the things I was going to raise later on was kind of what that actually means, what the line between that and kind of other concepts in the kind of Western literary fiction, like sort of canon is. But we will get into that later.
Yes. So we'll try our best to define what it is and then discuss some examples from literature. Literature meaning books and film and TV. And then if we have time, we can do a reading update. We haven't done one of those in a while.
I think we should start with the reading update, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I think the people want to know what we've been reading.
Okay. I'm very happy to. Do you have anything to talk about?
What do you think?
He's read Just Kids for Licensed Poetics.
Yeah, I did read. I mean, I have been reading. I think I told you in the last episode. It's called House of Lovers or whatever. House of Spirits. Isabel Allende.
Oh yeah, that one. How did the date go? Is this something that you'd like to share?
Are we just airing out my my personal life?
Just context. The book was recommended to Derek by a recent date.
So
Allende,
yeah. So what's funny was when I went on the date, I hadn't actually really gotten very far into the book, and she was kind of mad. She was like, "You suggested this."
Oh, oh no.
Oh man. Anyway,
what was your excuse that you cited?
I don't know. I think she was just ribbing me for it. But she was like, "If you had not started it, I would be genuinely upset."
What did she think about the book that you recommended? Was it Izumi Suzuki's?
Yeah. I don't think she's finished it either, but I think she mentioned that she was enjoying it. But she was like, "Yeah, I know what you mean," because I had told her that it was really sad, a little bit depressing. She was like, I can kind of see, but the music thing, she seemed to enjoy. So, I mean, that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, I'm gonna talk about my book. It's quite a significant read.
Wow.
Is it weird to be proud that you've read a book? It's not weird,
Depends.
Right?
Depends on what the book is, why you're proud, I think.
Okay, well, I'm proud because I'm just powering through this book. I got my hands on this copy last weekend when I went out camping. Shout out to Sophie, by the way, who lent me this book. She also designed the cover for a few of Licensed Poetics episodes and also for our collab project with FBI Radio. So shout out to Sophie and for lending me this book. And it's now less than a week later and I'm almost finished it. And it's not super long, but like it's so compulsively readable, and I just feel like every time I pick it up, I have such like a deep engagement with it.
Are you what? So does that make you proud? Because it sounds like it should be the author that feels proud. You said the compulsively readable.
The author definitely.
That's not on you. That's them.
The author definitely should be proud. So I guess I'm just proud that I like found this book and just like had a deep engagement with it. So before I go on, the book it's called Change, a Method by Edouard Louis. And I've talked about this author on LP before, I think, but he is described as like a new generation of writers a literary sensation sweeping across Europe. And the synopsis of the book is, in Edward Louis' Change, a Method, the author chronicles his relentless pursuit to escape his impoverished, homophobic, working-class upbringing in rural France. Driven by a desire to revenge against his past, he sheds his identity as Eddie, so that was the name that he was born with, Eddie, adopting a new name, Edward, like a more fancy sounding name, Edward, and striving to erase all traces of his origins. His journey takes him to university in Paris, where he immerses himself in a world of wealth and privilege. The novel explores complex and often painful process of self-transformation and the profound societal divisions of class and power. It's interesting that they describe it as a novel. I mean, the cover of the book describes it as a novel, but it's auto-fiction. Like autobiography, but in fiction form. It's one of those things that really blurs the line because like he's very obviously writing about himself.
I think that's kind of similar to what kind of what we were talking about before. Izumi Suzuki's book is basically that as well. Like it's not literally quote for quote about her life, and it's not told in any sort of objective sense, but it's like very much the story of her life told through the lens of fiction. I think is that the definition of autofiction?
Good question. Let's look up the definition of autofiction. It's quite a slippery definition, if anything. Like there are a lot of things that like
Annie Ernaux probably writes autofiction, right?
Oh, people have called her work a novella or
but
personal essay or memoir.
Okay.
It's hard to define. Okay, I've opened up Wikipedia. Wikipedia says, in autofiction, an author may decide to recount their life in third person, to modify significant details and characters, to use invented subplots and imagined scenarios with real-life characters in service of the search for a self.
Fake memoir. Well, not necessarily.
Well, you mean the genre that we both tried to write and failed?
I mean, it can be. I think it could. Yeah. I guess it's not by definition, but yeah.
I actually think autofiction is really hard to write because you have to pick apart your own life and like rearrange it in a way that makes sense to serve the goal of the book, right?
That's not how you. Is that not what you write? That's what I write.
I mean, I lean into invention a bit more, I think.
Okay.
Actually, can I even say that?
I don't think so, dude. That's what I'm saying. I've read your stuff. I feel like but I think by that definition, a lot of writers are like kind of, I don't know. Because now what's the difference between personal essay and like autofiction now?
An essay and a narrative are still different. Maybe that's the difference between essay and narrative. Look, I think if a book is just classic fiction and not autofiction, the interview questions that the author would get would be, how much of this is inspired by your own life?
Yeah, gotcha.
But if it's autofiction, that question is redundant because we know it's inspired by his own life, I guess.
Anyway, wait for our 3-part series on breaking down what autofiction is and isn't.
Okay, so going back to this book, Change, a Method. This is the second book from Edward Louis that I'm reading. Because he was born gay, like his entire childhood and world just rejected him super harshly. And he was like bullied and commented on since day one, basically. And then he dreamed of just escaping to first the provincial city and then to Paris. And then in the process, he reinvents himself and he loses friends along the way because he's like, I make friends with this person, but then that was a version of me. Then I want to become a new version and I cannot keep maintaining friendships with the previous people anymore. The reason he was able to go to that provincial town on a scholarship is because he was really good at theater. His acting came very naturally to him because he's like, so much of my life is just acting anyway. And then the first time he tried acting, like his teachers and his classmates were just like so in awe of him. So in the book we follow his life, you know, to Paris, and then like he had no money. He had to, you know, live with a sugar daddy basically in Paris who, you know, paid for his rent and also his dental surgery. But then in the end, I guess the relationship broke down and he had to do like sex work and other things to pay for his dentist.
Very oh shit, I've already forgotten his name. Robert, is that his name?
Oh, Robert Mapplethorpe. You see, I keep comparing this book with Just Kids as well. And it just seems like for Just Kids, a lot of the poverty and stuff that they suffer through has a veil of like vague romance over it. Whereas for Edward Louis, his poverty is just like, it's something that he's ashamed of. It's definitely not something that he would have romanticized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, but that's also the difference between, I imagine, what a story that Patti Smith wrote, which is what, you know, Just Kids is, and a story that Robert Mapplethorpe would have written. Because remember, he was like obsessed with fame and money and the success as well, remember? That was like a big part of his character.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
He didn't enjoy being poor the way that she did. Like for her, like it was kind of like, this is kind of cool. And for him, like he was desperate to leave it behind.
Yeah, you're right.
He had a more working class background, right? I think. No, he had an academic background or something.
No, it's more that he's completely detached from his family. Yeah, he had no support from his family.
Which is kind of similar
to... Exactly. Whereas Patty still had the support of her siblings. Okay, just for context, Derek just went on the longest bathroom break. Let's interrupt today's episode with an IBS special. Like, tell me your diet. Break it down for me.
What am I eating recently?
No. Just today. What did you eat today?
Oh, boiled eggs. So hard-boiled, I guess. Hard-boiled eggs. I had mincemeat, vegetables, pasta. It was pretty clean. If this happens again, I'm gonna have to just like run off.
Okay, it's fine. Basically, I just think it's a really good book, and the way that he broke down his life and made an arc out of his own life, you know, identified a theme and selected snippets of his memories to serve that theme. Very impressive, and that's what makes it readable. When there's a strong logic chain in the story, like I just cannot put it down. Okay, cool. That's my reading update. Let's jump into The Lone Genius.
Where do you want to start? So I was thinking,
I think a good place to start is trying to define what it means, right?
Yeah.
And why we think it's important enough to talk about. So my take on it is when a story has a main character that is weird, and the story kind of revolves around his or her weirdness, and usually their weirdness is like an advantage. So like in the beginning, their peculiarity is like jarring with the world doesn't appreciate, but then by the end you realize, oh, they have been right all along, or something like that.
Okay.
What's your definition?
Well, I was it was more of a question, but I was gonna say, what do you think comes first? Do you think that it's the character's a genius but they're flawed, or are they flawed but somehow those flaws make them a genius? I've always kind of thought that it was the opposite, right? Like with Sherlock, the Arthur Conan Doyle series. So I would probably say that's like the earliest thing that I've ever like consumed that has been really clearly that idea. And to me it's like wish fulfillment. And so like in the story he's like a little weird, but he's not that weird. Like he's mostly just very smart and smarter than everybody else.
I think for the particular trope that I want to talk about is the genius comes first. It's a main character that you can sort of idolize a bit.
Yeah.
And when I like Sherlock is a great example, and not even just the Arthur Conan Doyle original, even just the BBC remake with Benedict Cumberbatch. I think that's the example that really like pointed me to this trope, because he is, a genius, but his flaw is that he has very little emotional intelligence. Right. But then,
whereas that's not, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. My bad.
Whereas that does not get in the way of the audience loving him and like idolizing him, and also at the same time identifying with him. So I feel like that's the magic of this trope, is where you don't have to make a main character ordinary, quote unquote, for the audience to relate to. Like paradoxically, in storytelling, if you make the character extraordinary but also has flaws, that's what makes them relatable instead of ordinary, I think.
Yeah. It's I think it's because like people distinguish themselves by using points of difference rather than points of similarity. So they go like, well, it goes back to the idea of everyone has the fantasy of being the smartest person in a room, right? And it's effectively wish fulfillment. Like that's what the character is. And so in that Arthur, and this is kind of what I was getting at before, like Arthur Conan Doyle is like kind of that's the first version that I can think of. And that's the first type of story where the main character is, the whole point of the character is that he's smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
And he can see things that everyone else can't, because he's got like unlimited like knowledge of random trivia, and also like in theory like brilliant deductive. yeah, and like brilliant like reasoning or whatever.
Yeah, he sees things no one else sees. Yeah. Completely.
But then the BBC, I guess what that develops into though is that over time people get really sick of that trope, and they don't like that character anymore, because they're like, well, I know that I'm not perfect, so how can I relate to a character that is? And then so you add the flaw or like event or whatever that lets the audience go, oh, okay, this guy kind of sucks.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And everyone wants to be like that. And like then that becomes a trope for all detective characters, because like Sherlock is the model of the detective character, right? So then you have all of these other genius characters that also have a clear flaw, whether it's emotional or not. I think the Sherlock one, they really lean into the autism side of it, right? Like that's the big hook.
They call it what? So high functioning sociopath.
Yeah, but he's just autistic, right? Like that's kind of how it reads.
I mean, yeah. And then like the flaw, the lack of human side is what like John Watson comes in, like, and he becomes more human as the series goes on.
But functionally what it does is, right, it lets you have a wish fulfillment character, but it also gives you an arc. So like the arc is he's going to solve the mystery. So like that's never going to be a concern.
Yeah, wow.
But it's more like you're like watching him interact with the people that he has to interact with on the way. And that's,
You're so right. Like, I love it. And then I like how you said that, like, maybe in the beginning in Arthur Conan Doyle, but also you can trace it to like, even to like folk legends and like classic tales. It's always the story of a hero, right? Like the main character, like he knows how to do this because he has XYZ powers, and we know he's gonna beat the bad guy, and then like we're like, oh, he's so powerful, he's extraordinary. But then in like more modern, I guess, complex storytelling, we remember to add that flaw in. And I think the reason why I'm so interested in this, right, is like, obviously I'm trying to create a main character for my novel, and sometimes I started out being really obsessed with like, I want to make the character real, and then I kind of forgot that there's that whole hero genius thing that I can kind of lean into. That's not necessarily a bad thing, And I think that's why I was interested in this topic.
Right. Well, maybe we should like start by identifying like what are the other kind of big characters that like fit into this trope.
Yeah, 100%. So Sherlock, that's a big one, and there's this great Indian film called Three Idiots. Have you seen it?
No, tell us about it.
Yeah, it's like one of the most famous Bollywood movies of all time, other than the Slumdog Millionaire. And it's about, three guys in university, and it's the classic setup: the main guy and two sidekicks, and the main guy is the genius. He's like, everyone at the university, all they do is like memorize their textbooks and study for exams, whereas the genius guy from the beginning knows to apply his knowledge and knows how to study like effectively, like work smarter, not harder. Knows to be adaptable and knows to like reject the rigid educational system. And in the beginning, the university principal is like, you're a degenerate basically, and then you'll never get anywhere in life. But then he ends up, saving his friend's life, saving their careers, and also having a wonderful career himself, and like end up winning the principal's respect in the end. So it's like, it's that classic lone genius where in the beginning he's weird, but in the end he's proven right on every level.
Right. To me, I feel like that's maybe almost a little different as an archetype then, isn't it? Because because the system kind of recognizes Sherlock immediately. Like they begrudgingly do it, but they kind of know he's like, there's more wish fulfillment in Sherlock, I feel like.
No. I think Three Idiots has plenty of wish fulfillment too. Because I think that main character's criticism of the system are precisely the criticism that normal people would feel in real life too, but they aren't brave enough to say it out loud. That's why when they see the character say it on screen, it's so satisfying, and it's so easy to root for them.
Right.
It's a great movie. It's got all the Bollywood classics like the singing and the dancing. I love all the songs.
You really like musicals? I
love it. It's so fun. I literally cannot look away.
Do you like all the other ones, like with Hamilton and all that as well? Like, are you big into musicals?
I love Hamilton.
Are you gonna write your way out like Edward Louis did?
I write my way out. That's a reference to Hamilton. No, I haven't watched enough musicals to call myself a musical fan. But my point is just like Three Idiots has the, how a lot of Bollywood movies have sing and
the stereotypical sort of.
I love it. And it's like 3 hours plus as well.
I don't know how I could watch a film like that for 3 hours.
It's fun, and it's got all the the love interests, and then he gets the girl from the other guy that the girl was originally betrothed to, the gross guy, and then it's so satisfying, it's just
in Three Idiots, right? Is he ever wrong?
He is. I think he is. Yeah. In the beginning, it was through maybe a lack of action on his part that someone died. So it was like he has humbling moments, if that's what you're asking.
I don't know. To me, that almost feels more like a standard hero's journey, trope to me. Because when I think, I'll tell you what I think of when I think of lone hero, lone genius type stories. The characters I think of Sherlock, Rick and Morty. Those are I guess culturally the two most relevant ones. But there was a bunch of them, like Psych, The Mentalist. I mean, they're all kind of derivations of the same thing. But where the intelligence is a given and will always win almost, and you're just waiting to see how it will happen. This story feels a little more like just the sort of, I mean, from the way that you've described it to me. It feels,
The hero's journey is I think hero's journey is more the arc, right? Whereas the lone genius is the way that the hero is designed. But they aren't mutually exclusive.
But the hero, that's true. I guess I'm thinking more if the character starts at the bottom, to me that's not a lone genius, I think. Like
Oh,
because then to me that's very different. That's a different story.
yeah, you're right.
So like Sherlock, for example, right? He even
doesn't
though
start
people
at the
think he's
bottom.
weird or whatever,
Mm.
everyone knows he's a genius, and he's like constantly like
Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have said the guy in Three Idiots. I don't think he starts at the bottom either. It's just that in the beginning he doesn't have the main powerful guy's approval.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. For the genius one, he does. The genius does not start at the bottom.
Because the example that I think about is like Rick and Morty. So like Rick and Morty being like Rick. I mean, everyone knows what Rick and Morty is. I feel like I don't need to explain it almost. But Rick is, as a given, conceptually, like always the smartest person in any setting. And then the question is, but his problems are his alcoholism, his depression, like all this other stuff that you just can't, that he can't seem to beat. Like he can't. He's so self-destructive. Otherwise, he can handle basically anything the universe throws at him. And like that wish fulfillment is like kind of critical, right? To the lone genius.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. That wish fulfillment is what the audience can project onto. You know?
Yeah, because that's the thing that keeps you. That's the thing that hooks you first, because you watch it as wish fulfillment, and then you hopefully the idea is that you grow and change because you watch a very undeveloped side of the character mature, and you're like, and you identify with that part.
Yeah.
But like
really.
there's like almost like two parallel systems happening. Like the one thing that's driving the story forward, but all it really does is let you have like a glimpse into like who this guy's life is. Like it's not that like in the TV show like Sherlock, the reason he gets like, he's always a genius and he can always solve the crimes. What stopped him before was that no one listened to what he said because he's such an annoying, unlikable person. And then like John Watson like documents it, and then so he becomes this like celebrity figure. That,
so
like,
John Watson is his human side that he lacked, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
And then it becomes this like you know, and that's a little bit trite now, but Rick and Morty's the same thing. Like you've just got this genius guy, and then he's like offset
then Morty
by this,
is his
like this human
that's right,
kind of character, and then over the course of it they both become more like the other person or whatever. And that's like the other thing. The lone genius thing, the thing that I've always been interested in with the lone genius idea is like kind of where it comes from, right? Because in my head, I've always thought of the lone genius idea as really attached to how like the Western canon perceives, what would you call it? Like the great man theory of history.
Individualism, right?
Yeah, it's
the hero.
It's that classic, I'm the only one who can save it. So I was kind of thinking as we were talking about this. I was like, what makes then like Rick or like Sherlock fundamentally different from like Oppenheimer or someone? Like as a character, I guess. Not the real Oppenheimer, but
no, that's a great question. I think it is dangerous and boring if you believe too much of the great man theory, you know? I feel like for my taste and maybe some modern audience's taste, you gotta have flaws and realness to the character. But I think what happened was that I forgot that I focused too much on the real side and forgot that having a hero and an extraordinary side, an extraordinary character, how much that motivates you to root for them and to keep watching.
Yeah. I also think it's because like I almost feel like it's kind of a byproduct of like a storytelling generally. Like you have to exaggerate.
Yeah.
In order for anyone to connect, right?
Exactly.
Like so you like no one's going to care about like whether a character can pick up a pen and write like an essay that's like pretty good. You got to be like, "Oh my god, and this guy wrote like the best essay in all of the country."
Yeah.
For it to have the same degree of impact.
It's so interesting in that way. It's like reality is so rarely extraordinary. And yet in stories, you have to always make it extraordinary.
I don't know that I agree with that, because if you think about it, the way that we communicate with things about things that we haven't seen is by telling stories, and those stories are usually exaggerated, right? Like, how many times have you like talked to someone and they're like, "Oh my god, dude, this person is so cool. Oh my god," and then they tell some story about them, and you're like, "Wow, that person is so interesting, so cool." And then you meet them, they're like, "Oh, like they're fine. Like it's not like they're lame, but they're."
That's true. See, you just proved my point. Like when you're using language to tell it,
you make them cool,
heighten it,
right? Yeah, you heighten
it.
So I think sometimes it's easy to forget. Like you're just trying to write things down as. I mean, that's like a different style of writing almost, right?
I don't know if that will work. So, like when I was this is months ago when I first started trying to write my novel, I had this whole idea of like, okay, I want to respect reality, and I want to be like, I want my main character to essentially grow into a main character. And then I was like, wait, hold on, that doesn't work. Because my main character just has to be extraordinary since the beginning. Or extraordinary to my purposes. She's not going to have superpowers or anything.
Well, what were you gonna? I mean, I'm not gonna. What's the way that you found that you think would be acceptable? So within like a coming of age story, teen, young adult fiction sort of angle.
Yeah.
What does extraordinary look like? What is the because I mean the lone genius trope is really prevalent in that because kids love to dream about what they could be.
Yeah.
Every kid feels like, oh, I'm just misunderstood, man. I'm a genius. They just can't see the vision. Like, you know what I mean? So like,
exactly. So I think I'm just going to use The Catcher in the Rye as an example. I think The Catcher in the Rye fits into this.
Really?
Because I think Holden is always extraordinary. Because and he's extraordinary in relation to the purpose of the book. So I interpret the purpose as about innocence. And he is extraordinary because since the beginning, he knows to cherish his innocence or what's left of it, whereas the world seems to just reject his innocence, and the teenagers around him are so ready to let go of theirs, whereas he clings to his own innocence. And he feels like he's the only one in the world who's doing that.
Yeah, right.
And that's, like, you see, he doesn't, like, start out like everyone else and then, like, progresses to learn to cherish his innocence. No, he knows to cherish it in the beginning. He can't articulate it or explain why.
Okay, I kind of see what you mean.
Yeah. But then like that, the fact that he clings onto his innocence gives him so much pain and makes him not fit in anywhere.
But then, I mean, my question then is like, is that even still like a lone genius thing? Because he's not smarter than anyone else.
No. Yeah, sorry.
He's not correct in anything.
This is where the lone genius title is not good.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Maybe I should just say like the extraordinary main character trope.
Oh, that's not even a trope. That's just the fundamental requirement of storytelling.
Fuck! Why did it take me months to realize? Seriously, why did it take me months?
But I guess my point being like, in terms of the extraordinary character, if it's first person, I think the character has to believe that they're extraordinary in some way, maybe, or they have to be like, they can be different. I don't think they should be different, but I guess. Now I kind of get where you're coming from. You were saying like, for the purposes of the story or within the context of the story, they're extraordinary, right?
Yeah,
they're just doing a different thing.
It's just doing different.
It's like
there's something about them.
And it doesn't matter whether that's true or not, but it's how the story frames it.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah.
Okay, I get you. Yeah.
It's how the story frames it, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, then what are the other sort of like what are the other characters that have like kind of inspired you to think about this? So I think we can say now, like safely say now, we kind of ditched the lone genius idea, I think.
Okay, just I guess the extraordinary main character.
Yeah. So what makes it's almost like what makes a main character, right? Like what makes makes something main character worthy? How do you?
That is the philosophical
character?
question, I think it's something that I got wrong in the beginning. It's like for me the fundamental realization is that like yes, my story has to honor reality, but in this particular aspect in storytelling, it does not hurt the reality or the audience's connection if I make the main character really different right from the beginning. Like, I don't have to justify their difference.
That's absolutely, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I love, and this is kind of getting, I don't know if this is off topic or anything, but my favorite type of story is like, I think it's so lame to like explain why a character is the way they are. Like a character, the same way that like people should just be able to exist because they are the way they are. It's so ridiculous to have to like, I hate this trope, and it's not so popular now as it was, I think, years ago, where you would get like a character and they would have some type of eccentricity. They would be weird in some particular way. They'd be like, oh, I only eat like ice cream on the left side and then I throw the stick away. That's cool in and of itself. I don't need backstory about like how my dad left and he like, it's just like, dude, shut up. I don't care. Like, because it's always something stupid like that, right? It's always like, oh yes. And like, you know, and when the main character has a moment of vulnerability with like the love interest, the love interest is like, why do you only eat the left side of an icicle? Like, why do you only eat the left side of this, like, whatever the hell you're eating? And then they're like, oh, well, my dad, like, left when I was young. And then my dad only... And it's like, dude, please. I don't care. If you have to justify your character, like, why they exist, like, your character sucks.
Yeah.
That's kind of it, right? Like,
yeah, basically, yeah, exactly, yeah. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I thought... when I first started to write my novel, I was like, okay, because my novel, I hope it's going to be about like autonomy and freedom. And I was like, I want my main character to like initially just be fine and then grows to learn that she actually craves freedom and independence and autonomy, the ability to make her own decisions. And then I'm like, wait, that sounds like a very convoluted way to get to where I want to go. I feel like she just, I feel like it's closer to my argument to make her like already just want that, and then because she doesn't get it, she's in pain for it.
But yeah, because the problem with the first thing is that, and like now I'm just like debating how you write your story, which I don't mean to do at all, but I just kind of like, and I think you're right. Like, if you start and the character doesn't need to change.
Yeah.
Then why would they change and actually living under a dictatorship is a good thing? Because she didn't need to change. If she didn't need to change, there was no...
Well, I was gonna be like, oh, like she experienced a friend's suicide and like...
And that's the trick, right? That's the trick right there. It's like, oh, but because of... And you're like, actually, no, that can't happen.
That's awful. That's like disrespectful to suicide. And then like I'm not saying like there shouldn't be a friend suicide or like whatever huge trauma in the book, like, but like if that happens, that should be aiding something or exacerbating something that's already there, as opposed to creating something new entirely.
If that case state of affairs was correct, like the dictatorship is correct, we should all just stay in the matrix.
People don't need autonomy. Like, fuck that. Why did it take me like months to realize this?
No, I think I know what you mean, because like I've had like things like that as well, and even the point that you just talked about. The only reason I really like realized it was because I watched so much television. Because in books, no, this is the thing, right?
Okay, you
like television, you develop a pilot, right? And when you develop a pilot, you have to come up with a character. And the character has to stand on its own. You don't have time in the pilot to explain background. Because what if, you know, like that background doesn't, you know, like fit with what the studio wants.
Oh yeah.
If that background will like limit you to doing a certain type of story arc for the character, what you want is a character that is like kind of fully formed without any need for justification.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, then you go, oh, okay, well, so the character just has to be interesting by themselves. They can't be like...
Can you imagine if I made a pilot of my original idea? The first episode would just be like a regular girl.
I know, because I've tried it. Like, I remember trying it and I'm being like,
okay.
I have to explain. So ages ago...
Why people should watch and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, when Jeremy and I first started, like when we were talking about like writing something, and I came with an idea for this like story and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool and interesting and so smart. And then I realized the amount of backstory that would need to be told in order to like do this thing would make functionally the show not possible if you were going to write a show. Like, it would just be dumb. It's like, it's something you could work out later on at the end of a first season or something like that. You know where to go. But like, if you pigeonhole them immediately, that character's not free to do anything because they've already locked in like. Whereas, you know, when you write a novel, you're trying to get to a place. I actually don't know. When you're writing a novel, I imagine you want to get to a certain place, so you can kind of plan a backstory a little bit.
Plan. I don't know. Well, I mean, it stands. You know, you want to grab people in from the first chapter. Otherwise, why would they keep reading?
Yeah, and then if you do that, then you need to have a compelling character, like fully formed.
That's right.
Well, I mean, in your example, the one that you were talking about, like, surely it's. I mean, I imagine that like the character you would be thinking about in terms of like overcoming autonomy, like overcoming and like, you know, this sort of sheep mentality, which is kind of like what you were going for, right? Like the easiest way to do that is probably like you have them be like a total sheep in like every area except for one thing that they refuse to be a sheep about because they love it so much, and then like, you know what I mean, and they've always done it since they were a kid. I don't know, like that's
maybe.
But that's usually how it works, because then they're always like this unchanging thing.
Like, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like copying the Catcher in the Rye. It's just like Holden is like troubled by his clinging to innocence, and then like my main character is troubled by like her desire for autonomy and the fact that she doesn't get it. But like the fact that like they won't be able to explain or articulate what they're feeling.
Because teenagers can't, right?
Yeah, they can't, and that's what's lovely about it. And then the tone is gonna be like they're appealing to the reader to listen. Let's talk about Rick and Morty then. Do you think Rick and Morty is similar to Oppenheimer?
I think it's more similar to. Well, that was my question. Because I was like, Oppenheimer to me is a reflection of the great man, the theory of history, and that sort of way that Nolan characters are, right? Like,
oh yeah, let's talk about Nolan
there's a lot of wish
characters.
fulfillment, I think, is crucial to the Nolan formula. What's his face in, you know, like, you're the only man for the job sort of type stories, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have to like they're already like they come with a set of skills, right, ready to be dispensed for the greater good. Oppenheimer, I guess Tenet is maybe the exception to that.
Okay.
But Interstellar, like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar, right? He's like, oh, you're a genius engineer and also the smartest man for the job and also like a scientist and also an amazing test pilot or whatever the hell. Okay.
I love how you just perfectly picked all the Nolan films that I didn't really connect with. Can we talk about Inception instead? I feel like Inception is the classic formula.
In Inception, he's kind of a normal guy. Like he's compared
to
the other stuff. Yeah. Like I guess that is the one skill there. But he's not like a genius. Like it's a very specific skill set, right? Like
that's what.
And he's only good at that one thing. He's not good at anything else. Like he can't really fight. Like the whole thing about Interstellar was that he was so good at so many things.
Okay. I have seen Interstellar, but I don't remember much of it.
Constantly bad. Doctor Who, Rick and Morty, Sherlock. Those are all what I would consider. Yeah, you're right. Like that's the lone genius archetype. And I guess now we're talking more about. And now, so we've talked about three separate stereotypes. We've like talked about like the main character sort of thing. We've talked about the lone genius, and now we're like moved on to the great man sort of like construct.
Yeah.
It's just a very conservative like idea of what a hero is. That's all I think. You might be right. I don't even think that that's got anything to do with.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, conservative. Okay. A hero. The idea of the great man as a hero is very conservative. I guess I was just like, wow, I've neglected how effective it can be, and I'm jealous of it. I want to tap into it.
Are you talking about the great man thing or the lone genius? Yeah.
both really.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other one, like, yeah.
So you're kind of just like coming around to being like, you know what? I should be more of a hack. I should really
Yeah, I
lean
guess.
into
Yeah, I
like
guess,
gimmicks.
yeah.
And I think thing about tropes is like I don't think you should necessarily avoid them. I think you just need to know why they work so that you can use them in a way that's effective. And that's where I think you're kind of there's a sort of a big overlap between that and then the Catcher in the Rye. It's just people who are convinced that they're correct, like more than anything else, I think.
Are you attacking me right now?
No. I'm not saying it has to be you specifically, but there is like a significant overlap, right? It's like just because it's wish fulfillment. It's like people who don't have power in real life, and they're like, I guess the more self-aware kind would be like, oh, Catcher. That's the self-aware type. And then the non-self-aware people would be like into the wish fulfillment side.
Oh my God. Oh shit. To be honest, some people watch Rick and Morty for that too.
I'm sure they do, right? Like where people are like,
terrifying.
Are you more Rick or Morty? And it's like, shut up. Shut up, dude. Get out of here.
You know what? Yeah. The whole moral of this episode is that like I'm jealous of how effective wish fulfillment is. And I want to tap into it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I was trying to think of that whenever I write as well. I'm like, one of the big things, like, it's so funny. Did I tell you that my dad read the thing that I wrote?
Oh my God, which one?
He was like, the most recent thing. And he was like, what does this mean? I don't understand it. Like, it's not that I don't understand the language and the sentences. I don't understand what you're talking about. What's the point of this?
I love it.
And I was like, I don't know. And he was basically, and then he started giving me notes and he was like, this is not like, the story's not clear. You clearly don't have like a direction.
You have no talent.
You have no direction.
Ouch. I love that you showed your dad that. What a vulnerable gesture.
I mean, not really. Like, it was just, he's been tearing me down my whole life. So what's the difference now? Not even on purpose. No, I mean, like, it was just kind of funny because I was thinking about that and I remembered exactly what, like, Jeremy said about the piece of writing. And he was like, what's the point? Like, I don't care about this character. And I was like, yeah, I think that's fair.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it is one of the. This has been a very rambly episode. I actually have enjoyed this conversation a lot, but maybe that's because it's so all over the place.
I like it. I think we've provided context except for the end. We just expect listeners of this show to have watched BoJack Horseman at this point. If you haven't, that's your problem.
Have you noticed that we've explained everything other than BoJack Horseman? Like we've
Rick and Morty.
And I guess Rick and Morty didn't explain either.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you doing if you're listening? I don't think there's such an audience that listens to this. I don't think any listeners that listen to us haven't seen either of them or know that they exist or know what they are. There's just no way.
Yeah, we're very specific.
No one who's watching, like, whose favorite show is Jack Reacher is listening right now.
What's Jack Reacher?
That's what I'm saying. There's zero overlap. It's Jack Reacher is like based on a series of novels, and I can summarize the plot to you. It's about a guy who wanders around, and he's a cool, strong guy, and the solution to it's an action series. And every single problem is solved because he's bigger than everybody else. For the first 2 seasons of the show, he's just bigger and stronger than everyone.
You see, that's wish fulfillment right there. Like,
yeah, it is.
That's all I want. I just want a more complex
wish fulfillment. I think that's I guess to get back on topic, I think I'm a really big fan of that. I think you got to trick your audience. You got to set it up by being like, hey, you. Like, this is for you, and you will like and feel good about this.
Aww.
And then you pull the rug, and you're like, you're a loser. All my favorite shows are like that.
Yeah.
I mean, BoJack is
he's like that.
I was thinking of Neon
is like that.
Neon Genesis
Evangelion. Yeah.
One of my favorite shows ever. Same thing. Like, it pulls. You're like, oh, big giant robots, cool aliens, amazing. And then it's like, you're depressed, right? You don't leave the house, right? Remember when you didn't leave that? Yeah, the whole thing is about.
My partner's watching it right now.
God bless. That show is so. It's basically just a show about like being depressed, and you're like, how do you solve being depressed? Because
know
like
what?
I'm telling you, getting in a having the wish fulfillment of getting in a giant robot is not going to be great because your friends will die. You'll watch your friends die. You still haven't resolved your relationship with your dad or your dead mum. Like, how about you fix those first before you get in the robot?
Wow.
That's kind of the show.
Should that be our next episode?
Do you want to do Neon Genesis Evangelion? Maybe watch it first and see if you like it.
Do it. The one on Netflix right now is the original TV series, right?
The original TV series, and
right. No, I'll happily watch the TV anime first.
Yeah, we could do an anime thing on this if you want. Like I can tell there are so many anime that I could deep dive for like hours if you give me the platform.
You know what? Let's wrap up this episode first.
So now's a good time to wrap up today's episode. If you'd like to support LP, head to buymeacoffee.com/licensepoetics. Thank you so much for listening. We love having you here. I'm your host, Derek.
And I'm your host, Fang Ling. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
See ya.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.